It's time for the match preview, and today we're going to be talking about Friday night under the lights. It's Luton Town versus West Brom, and with me to preview this game and, well, discuss can Luton do it, it's my co-host, as always, it's Mark Ryman. How are we getting on, Mark?
Yeah, I'm all right, thanks. You know that optimism we had for about 6 days? That was nice, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember it well. I remember it well. Yes.
I remember it like it was last week. Now look at us.
Fleeting optimism.
It was very fleeting. Anyway, back to the grind.
Yeah, I know. It's really concerning how just one result, as bad as it is, can derail so much optimism from the Watford game and the performance, not the result, from the Sunderland game. But this is a perfect time as any to recap the Coventry game. So the Coventry game happened, and I guess we talked about it on the Luton Town show. You were there, Mark. It wasn't pretty watching, especially in that second half, was it?
You've made me talk about this game 3 times, Ollie. 3 times.
Yeah. And I'm going to make you talk about it one more time.
It's horrendous. Yeah, it wasn't pretty. I was there as well. So there's the extra time. Yeah, I think second half, the amount of questions that we've got after that, the lack of fight from the players, the indefensible substitutions, arguably, some of the tactics in that half, just... Yeah, we feel like we're back to square one, don't we, a little bit. Fair play to Cov, as I said in the previous ones. I think they were brilliant throughout the whole 90 minutes. And I think Mark Robbins did a really good job on looking at where our weaknesses are and exploited them. But we could have done a hell of a lot more tactically, line-up-wise, and the players on the pitch to at least get a point from that game. But yeah, we didn't, and we deserve nothing less than to lose.
Coventry were exceptional, and if they've been playing like that and having bad results, I don't know what their fans have been complaining about. You know, even if it is just a small minority that are saying Robin's out, what are they complaining about? If they're knocking out performances like that, they look so good. They were zipping the ball around, and it couldn't have just been a case of they turned it on for Luton Town, because they were playing like a team that have been playing like that all season. And it was just a case of their strikers, were low on confidence, but then when they clicks. And what we've been saying all along in our championship content as well, that Coventry were in a false position, but it really doesn't look like that for Luton Town at all.
No, I mean, I don't think they were playing like that, to be honest, from what I'd seen of them at least. I think certainly, as you say, their strikers weren't scoring and they were letting in too many goals. A bit like us at the start of the season, I suppose. But unlike us, they're showing a bit more character. Mind you, if you just watch our Watford game in isolation, you'd go, what are Luton fans complaining about as well? So it's one of those. But yeah, I mean, when those strikers, we've been saying it all season, haven't we? But when those players are on form, they're up there with the best in the championship.
Yeah, they really are. And look, it's going to be tough to bounce back from a 3-2 loss where you were leading 2-0 at half time and chucked it away. But it's about following up a completely abject and gutless performance with a proper performance.
It is, but as you say, that's the worry for me is the negativity, not just in the second half, but after the game as well. You know, anyone who's been able to find and then watch the Edwards post-match can see that, you know, that's a real concern. And yeah, I guess Friday will be the test, the litmus test for that, because it's back at home. Can we repeat the last 2 home performances? And if we can, then of course it's a very different story come whatever time on Friday night, isn't it?
Yeah, and let's have a look at how Luton could potentially line up with some team news. Well, as we were just saying, lack of team news. What's What have we got? 11 men to put on the pitch? Well, Tom Holmes is suspended. Alfie Doughty is suspended. Amari Bell is out injured. Who knows about him? Mads Anderson, the invisible Danish ghost. He's, maybe he'll come back one day. Reece Burke is one that I'd love to have back. And Real Walters, broken foot, and Ted Mengi, I think he's got a case of the sulkies because he didn't get his move to Torino. But he's down as having a knock and doubtful.
You said we've got 11 players, yes, but they're all midfielders. Is the answer to that. They're certainly not defenders, and they're certainly not centre-backs. I mean, obviously, it's going to be, we're going to be without Doughty, which is a huge loss on that left-hand side. Regardless of who steps in, you would probably think JJ does that job. I can't see Edwards changing the system.
Do you think he's good enough? Do you think JJ is good enough? Because he's obviously good enough for England under 19s. And he keeps getting called up, but I don't think Edwards trusts him.
Who's down that side? Tom Fellows or Grady Diangana? Yeah, that's scary. That's scary.
Yeah, I know, right? It'll probably be Tom Fellows.
Yeah, either or. I mean, the both of them got pace about them. Both of them are very good players as well. I think Diangana started their last game, but you're right. Fellows, I think, had been pretty stable there. Yeah, either way. But he's surely our only option unless you play Hashi left back. But then you've still got even one less centre back. And I just can't see him playing four at the back, can you? So therefore it's more of a question who's going to be that third centre back than anything else. I can't see any other.
I think we could bring in Aidan Francis-Clark because he is a centre-back. He can play on the right and the left, but obviously he is completely untested at this level other than being on the bench once or twice.
Yeah, and it's I suppose you've got to start at some point, but centre-back is a tough position, isn't it? To make a full debut, not just a few minutes when you're 3-0 up in a game, which is where you'd ideally try these sort of players out in those positions. That's a tough one. Maybe Mengi's back. We haven't heard anything about Burke, but I don't know. It's the silence on that speaks volumes. Mads is never going to be fit again by the looks of things. I mean, he's a hamstring every time he walks or looks at the pitch. I think we are really struggling. I don't know how close Bell is. That's the only question, really. Maybe Bell's slightly closer because I can't see any of the others coming back. Really, Mengi was estimated 2-3 weeks away, so that's touch and go. So I don't know. But I can't see him playing anything other than 5 at the back. And so for me, it's going to be JJ plus one other.
It's seriously depressing talking about this team news. Who knows? I was listening to the When the Town podcast, and one of the guys on it, Darren, who is a club sponsor through his company DLA, he was at a sponsors training day this morning, the day we're recording, so this is the 29th. And he was saying it was really bare bones. The atmosphere was very grim, not just because of the weather, but there was no buzz around the place. And it feels like, I don't want to say a death march, but it feels like, prolonging the inevitable going to this game. There's no confidence around at the moment. Absolutely none.
No. I mean, you can see it in the players at the end of the last game. I don't know about what it's like behind the scenes and training and everything else and what their normal schedule is, but, that doesn't sound good. And, yeah, you would want at least your Tom Lockyers and your Pelly Ruddocks to be up and geeing the lads up in training, because if we haven't got that, as we've said in previous podcasts, who is the motivator in the squad? And I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but it really isn't Edwards at the moment. Someone needs to motivate him, but he doesn't seem to be able to do it, to motivate others. He looks so dejected. He really does. And that's the worry, therefore, is who is doing that job. Yeah. So that's not good to hear. And obviously the lack of players doesn't help.
Well, on the bright side, he did say Tom Lockyer was there. He was training like a fiend. And he said they're hoping for the new year. So, maybe just after Christmas. that would be very optimistic. Yeah, we do need him.
We need him.
As much as I don't really want to see him play again because I'm worried, but we, our defense does need him. But I'm going to cheer you up even more now because we're going to talk about our previous encounters with West Brom. So, our previous encounters with West Brom, we were just talking about. Ryman can't remember a single positive. Well, I'll tell you, the last 7 games, how many do you think we have won from our last 7?
We beat them whenever it was a few seasons ago, but I'm pretty sure we beat them. Was it when Nathan Jones came back? I know we threw a 2-0 lead away in our last game against them, or the last home game against them, which we're now very used to doing. But I feel like we beat them, and I also feel like, who scored?
Alan Campbell scored an absolute screamer.
It was Alan Campbell.
Absolute screamer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was the game I'm thinking of. Yeah, Alan Campbell scored. Yeah. So I did. Yeah, I think I was probably there.
1 win, 1 draw, and West Brom have beaten us 5 times out of the last 7. But obviously, in addition to these 7 games that FOTMob have generously given us, as always, you can go to the Hatters Heritage website and check out every single competitive game that Luton Town and West Brom have played against each other in our club's history. I'll put the link in the description below. And yet, the last time we played them, well, we've actually chucked the lead away against them twice. So there was that time when we were winning 1-0, I think it was under Graham Jones, and they had Slaven Bilic as manager, and a Grady Diangana masterclass in the second half turned that game on its head.
It was definitely at that game as well. Yes, I remember. That was 2-1, wasn't it, that game? Yeah.
It was.
Was that Charlie Austin scored in that game as well? I think it might have been.
Yeah.
It was Charlie.
Yeah, he did. And he only seemed to score against us. Like, I think we single-handedly prolonged Charlie Austin's career.
Yeah. There's a few players we've said that about. But he's one of them.
And then there was the game that you probably remember, the one where we were 2-0 up and we lost 3-2 to West Brom. And that was actually in our promotion season, 14th of January.
I remember we went 2-0 up very quickly. Morris scored an absolute banger of a goal, I think turned and shot from outside the area right in the bottom corner. And I was thinking, how on earth is this 2-0? It was very early on and we lost the game. But it's not been fond memories. I go to the Hawthorns quite a lot on away games because, again, it's relatively local. And the best part of those days are generally when the boiler comes out at the start, because after that, it's not pretty to watch. I do love the boiler. I really do. I think it's got to be one of the best mascots of all time.
As mascots go, it's pretty cool. It's very cool. I love it. I mean, it's so awful, but it's just so cool. I love it. I absolutely do love it.
Trying to explain the boiler mascot to my wife, who is a non-football fan, actually any fan of football generally, but trying to explain why they've got a boiler for a mascot is always a fun conversation.
Yeah, what is it? They're sponsored by Ideal. Yeah, and I feel this is a game where Carlos Corberán's always had our number. He has back at Huddersfield, at West Brom, the amount of times West Brom have come from behind, and the season Luton Town have been a team where others love to come from behind. I know that sounds really bad, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. So I am worried about the game. Probably a good time to. Yeah. No one likes being attacked from behind. It's probably now a good time to get our score predictions in.
I'm going to go for a 2-1 loss. I just can't see the second half versus Coventry and then predict anything other than Luton to struggle. But it does depend on if we do play like we did against Watford and Sunderland, things might be different. But that second half versus Coventry, plus the injury crisis we've got at the back, plus Carlos Corberán, as you said, I know they haven't won in forever and they just keep drawing games. but we like to turn team seasons around, so I don't see why that particular trend won't continue. Yeah, 2-1 West Brom for me.
Well, I've gone the optimistic route, so I've gone 2-0 Luton, based purely on the fact that it's another home game under the lights. I think the crowd will be behind, providing we don't concede first. If we manage to score first, like go direct and bully their back line, because it will be quite patched together, then I do think we can get something out of this, providing we turn up like we did for Watford and Sunderland and not the second half against Coventry. Don't know what hit Luton Town on that day, but maybe we've had like almost a week to recover now from the early Saturday morning kickoff to Friday night. Yes, it's not that long, but at the same time, it's a bit of a rest. It's better than a 3-game week.
Yeah, it is, but we have to manage 3-game weeks better than we have done forever. It's not just Edwards. I mean, it was under Jones as well. We never seem to manage them. We've got another one coming up after this week, and that's therefore going to be a problem on the early kickoff on the Saturday again against Borough. We're going to have exactly the same problem as we did against Cov. But anyway, that's for another day. I think, I really hope that you're right. The evening kickoffs under the lights at Kenilworth Road haven't had the same charm this season, have they? We've had 3 and we've lost all 3 of them so far. So let's hope that changes.
It has to. It just has to change. I feel it will change, whether it's a manager that leaves or whether he actually can turn it around, but something will change, and maybe there'll be a bit more of an uplift when more players come back from injury. Look, I guess we'll see, but let us know in the comments, what do you think ahead of this game? As always, thank you very much for watching, and if you're watching this on YouTube, like the video and subscribe for even more Luton Town content. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, follow us there, because we can accompany you on your commute to work. And I guess we've got to look forward to this game now, because it's Luton and we want to see a big performance from the lads.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, as always, come on, you Hatters.